It's been over half a year since I last played Ghost of Tsushima, and finally, when the director's cut was released, I went back in. I've already made a video on my first impressions of the game, but now that I've seen all the game has to offer, this game is goated. If it wasn't amazing enough that they added multiplayer just a month after the game came out, now we have this brand new island, new enemies, new gear, and most importantly, more fuel for the creative ass photographers. And I gotta say real quick, as much as I love Sly Cooper and Infamous, I'm happy as a fox that Sucker Punch came out with this game. The entire experience has been like chicken soup for my weeb soul. But I digress. Without further ado, let's cut right into it. This isn't anything major, but I gotta at least mention it once. Sony's made it very clear they don't want their cross-gen games to have a simple and smooth transition, and this is yet another example. I spent $30 to upgrade from the PS4 version to the PS5 Director's Cut, but bro, just look at this info about how you get access to the Director's Cut and Iki Island. I wish it was just a straight up $20 upgrade, since the expansion felt like it was worth that price for sure. But the thought of me paying an extra $10 just to get the PS5 version is pretty scummy. Sure, the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers feel amazing in the game, but are the features in the controller and some enhanced graphics really worth all that? Especially when Xbox is out here offering free next-gen upgrades for so many of their cross-gen games. This is kind of an L for Sony. Damn, maybe I should cut that part out. I'm probably gonna have a console war in my comments at this rate. But anyway, now it's time to discuss one of my favorite parts of the game yet again. I talked a lot about how great this game looked, and even now I have more amazing things to say about it. The white sands on the beach, the purple blossoms of the wisteria trees, everything here is as gorgeous as I remember. I didn't spend nearly as much time in the photo mode this time around, unfortunately, but I kept catching myself leaving my horse behind to explore the world on foot and take in all of its wonder. Seriously, I have no clue what magic they did to make something as simple as the wind work so perfectly in this game, but I love it. Not to mention the beauty put into the lighting depending on the time of day. Just look at all of these gorgeous sunset massacres. But you know what, the game is beautiful as hell, but it ain't all about the scenery. So the question now is, what is so different about the gameplay of Iki Island? It's hard talking about the gameplay here because if you're like me and you maxed out your gear, a lot of this expansion could be a cakewalk for you. It's not like the enemies are different outside of these guys who hype everyone up with their throat singing, which is such a great throwback to this banger. But it adds another layer that had me dodging through crowds of Mongols just to find the mother who was getting them riled up in the first place. There are a few other changes, like the addition of a horse charge that feels satisfying when you can line up a group of Mongols and just knock them down like bowling pins. And without spoiling anything, the new armor on the island adds a nice challenge to those people who mastered the perfect parry skills. However, I'm
not that guy.
There's also a bunch of new charms to be unlocked, but I never got too deep into that part of the game. Sure, the concentration charm helped a ton when trying to get high scores on the archery practice, but even through the main game I found myself rarely swapping out charms. But everything else that the main game sets up is here in full force. The only other interesting mechanic added is the visions, or shall I say the psychedelic trips that Jin goes on through the story. I do wish they took a bit more advantage of it, since it would have been more interesting having hallucinations of enemies popping up all over the island, but they absolutely made a great use of it in the story for its expansion, which is a great segue into one thing that the main story did so well was to create this dichotomy between Jin being the ghost and being a samurai. On one hand, he takes justice into his own hands and does what he must to drive off the Mongols. On the other hand, he betrays his own honor, which leads into some serious and heart-wrenching stuff near the end of the story. But if you thought that was all, however, think again. The story of Iki Island brings a much deeper look into Jin's past with his father. It's a story of grief and acceptance that not only resonated with me personally, but had a seamless connection to the themes presented in the main campaign. Being faced with the struggles of living up to the expectations of your elders while also being true to yourself is such a relatable plotline. And tying everything together with the big bad character, the Eagle, was so smart. Going from a villain that is meant to be a big hulking powerhouse, which didn't even matter since I owned his punk ass anyway, to a villain who is manipulating the very core of your mental health to destroy you from the inside out was so very smart. Especially in an expansion where I already felt like I can take over this island with my pinky. Like, look at this shit, bro. I was literally flying. Flying to my death, but still. It was exactly the kind of story I could have wanted, even if it was only about 8 hours long. It is a little disappointing though, since my backlog's greatest friend, How Long to Beat, told me it was anywhere from 10 to 15 hours. Some people may see the $20 or $30 for an 8-hour story as a bit much, but it was worth every single penny in my opinion. Iki Island in a nutshell is even more of the greatness that Ghost of Tsushima brought to the table. If I thought it were possible, I'd even hope for another future expansion, if not a sequel to the game, just because it's been a dream come true. And I can't tell if it's the weeb in me talking, but for a game that is aesthetically pleasing and action-packed like this, you'd be a fool to miss out on the director's cut and all it has to offer. And that's about it for today's video, so thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment whatever you think about the video, and I will see you guys next time.